Hello everybody, my name is Clive
And I'm David Reed.
and you're watching
From the Bench.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode number 3 of the From the Bench podcast. David, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Obviously, I'm actually quite happy, to be fair, after that recent performance. Norwich City come away with a point, first point of the season. It's something to build off, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good, it's nice. Like we explained last week, I was saying to you, like, you need to start solving small problems out. You've stopped making errors now, and you've stopped conceding goals, which is an important stepping stone in the career for the season and the players as well. Once you get that confidence that you're not making errors, it's not always your fault now, you know you're not under pressure, you know you can keep clean sheets now against harder teams. It's a good thing for Dan Vardy. All you've got to do now is build on scoring goals, and I think it's doable throughout the season, I think.
Yeah, I think for me the main thing Norwich done well is I think we went away to Burnley and we took their game and we played their game against them, and that's something they couldn't really counter us on. Obviously they had chances, we had chances. I thought once again Matthias Norman had a brilliant performance, it has to be said. Obviously Ozan Kabak went on a little bit of an adventure on his own, didn't he? But I think Norwich looked good defensively, we looked a lot more solid, and I guess you have to give credit to Daniel Farke. I know everyone's been on his case recently and he has been poor, it has been. The tactics have been poor, but Saturday it worked.
Well, you can say the tactics have been poor, but it's practically a new squad. You can't say that his first tactics didn't get it right. Like Pep Guardiola's tactics didn't get it right on the first try. You know, he's the top manager. It's got to wait for time to find what the players want and what the manager can get out of the players from week in, week out again. And it's taken, he's found a back five's working out against. He knows what kind of players to use now. He knows the strength and weakness of the team to go out and win games, to draw games, to get points. That's what's important. You can easily criticise the manager for not getting games results with poor tactics. But as Scott Parker said, he got the tactics wrong at the start of Fulham's campaign. But then he started picking up results. He learned from it, and that's what Daniel Parker's doing. You've had to lose, you've had to make mistakes, you've had to be beaten to understand this is not working and we cannot go forward. When Pep Guardiola was losing games, when Chelsea, Lampard were losing games, he had to know the full extent of how badly you can go with that formation before it's no go. He knew the formation he was playing for wasn't working, and he's trying to back five. He's like, against Everton, you may have lost, but you know there was points in the game that you can work on, and that's where, like, Kabak being strong is where it's important. If he was strong against Everton, you would have got something out of the game, and it's just working out how a formation, how players understand the system, how it's be different from playing from formation to formation. Because in pre-season you didn't play back five, because you didn't play many big oppositions where you need to really park the bus. Yeah. And that's so different for lads. You know, you have to get behind the ball. You know, it's going to be you're playing down in the middle of it. That's where you're winning the ball, and it's so different for players. Like, you've got to scrap for the ball now, and if players aren't used to that, if you're just going out wide with the ball, it's so hard, like winning the ball in the middle of the park and just going 1v1 with players, or getting back into a player to win a header from like crawls, long kicks, something like that. It's so different. And it's easy to criticise the manager when things don't work out, when the players have got to get used to everyone around them. The Premier League, they're playing Premier League opposition now, not Championship players now, and that's different.
I think you're right, because I think this is the thing, isn't it? A lot of these players Norwich have brought in, they've never played on English soil, let alone the best league potentially in the world. Obviously we know it is now. Obviously Liverpool, Manchester City last night, that was a game for the ages, wasn't it? Mohamed Salah, it was a world-class goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know Salah's got that in his locker, you know lots of players in the Premier League. When you face Liverpool, Man City, it's going to be a big game. It's always going to be two of the biggest teams in the Prem, like going against each other. You know, you give Salah any ounce of room, or you don't close it down, mark him,
he's going to score goals.
Yeah, exactly. Like you saw against, as you go to other teams like in the Champions League, Premier League.
Against us.
Yeah, exactly.
Against us, he was given too much room on the edge of the box, and he stuck it in the top corner. It was a good goal, but I think, going back obviously to the Burnley game, I think, like I said, Norwich took Burnley's game to them. We were a lot more rough. We got into the back of players. There was a lot of fouls in that game to us, and the first half was a poor display. It was like a championship game. But the second half, I think the quality started to show through. Norwich had chances. I think Josh Sargent's one of these players. I think he will score goals this season. It will come. Obviously, everyone's still gelling together, aren't they? Really, but one thing with Josh Sargent, you can't question his work rate, can you?
No, but if a player wants to succeed and wants to do well, they will do anything to play football. When money's not a question, when you know you were told to run around for 90 minutes. If you care, and you want to do well in the Premier League, you want to succeed in football.
You'll just run.
Yeah. If you don't, like, you haven't got to society, like we look at a big team now, you know, you just put a good average performance in, you'll do well. But no, Sarge knows if he doesn't do well now, he's back in the Championship and he's probably back, he's not going to go another move again. If he knows he gets 100% now, every game, and shows what he can do on the ball, off the ball, what he can do even from the bench and in the dressing room. They're the important things to make a football player. It's not just like scoring 30 goals a season, is it?
Yeah.
It's not just creating 10 assists a game, and it's what you do in the dressing room, how you support players around you if you don't even get him picked. It's what he can do in those players. It's what it's going to make him choose him for a game. Like if it's a away game and you need a big leader in that dressing room, he's taking him because of those reasons, not just because he's going to be impacted from scoring goals. And that's what Norwich need, is leaders in that team who will kick the team in the right direction and not just wallow in losing, not think, oh, we're going to make mistakes and what's the point. You need a leader like that and the players to gel around them, that, you know, we're digging out that and we're going to dig ourselves out of this.
And that's the thing, we need those type of players in the squad. I think Matthias Norman's one of them. I think Grant Hanley is one of those players, like he won't get downbeat too bad, and he's certainly one of these players that will pick the team up if need be. And I feel, to be honest, he was actually a lot better against Everton Burnley as well. I thought, even against Everton though, like we said last week, I thought going forward we looked quite dangerous in areas, and defensively we weren't too bad. I'd say maybe for 45, even 50 minutes of that game, Norwich looked like they could have gone and got something from that game. And then obviously against Burnley we've come there, we've been rough, we've got into the back of them like I said, and we've got a point and a clean sheet, and that's certainly something to build on. I feel like if Norwich can keep going like that, and obviously Brighton's a big game after the international break, first game back, it's going to be difficult, and then I'm pretty sure we're away to Chelsea, so we've got difficult games coming up, and I'm sure Norwich can get results from these games. I think if they're as tight defensively as they were against Burnley, then I don't see why Norwich cannot go and get points.
You say that, but you know the inconsistency of Norwich, like they've had one good game and everyone's praising them, but the problem is though, they've had so many bad performances, like Kabak, like kicking against Everton, like Hanley's inconsistency, players like that. If they don't
These
stop,
are the players that need to be consistent, aren't they?
You're playing a back five and you've got 3 defenders there, and if you know they're inconsistent, Chelsea are just going to tear them apart, because you know if you put any slight bit of pressure on them, or you put balls into the box, or go 1v1 them, they're more likely to crumble than someone like it gets bigger, like smaller teams, and that's when Norwich got to be careful when defending now, because everyone's got when the fullbacks need to drop in now and cover, like Hanley covering Kabak. So it's 2v1 in the box, it should be so 1v1, because Kabak, Hanley won't deal with those kind of situations. When it comes to ball into the box, everyone needs to attack the ball, it does. And it's like, especially need Krul to be more commanding there. Like, where's the back five, especially goalkeeper, everyone's known the position, you know strengths and weaknesses of the players, and you know you've got to cover those areas, you've got to cover the spaces. And if when the ball comes in the box, Krul should be going more claimed, he should be. A bit more vocal and should be going for more on ball, because he's not a short goalkeeper. He's
not. That's the thing, isn't
it?
I think you're right. I think Tim Krul up for corners, especially. I mean, had a good punch out against Burnley, even though, I mean, he nearly punched McNeil in the head, but I don't think there was too much in that, to be honest. From a goalkeeper standpoint, I'm guessing you'd have said no penalty.
Yeah, but we look at Lloris in the Euros, it was given. That's what was VAR now.
True. That's the thing. It's so inconsistent, isn't it? Now, some of the results that get given and VAR especially. I think it's got better from last season, but I think the inconsistency is still there. To be honest, I think Tim Krul, you're right, he needs to just be a bit braver and maybe go out for them corners more often, maybe throw a fist out to it, try and catch the ball, because from corners sometimes, I mean, we defended them well against Burnley, and Burnley had quite a few, but we just need to stop looking toothless. And I think the Burnley game, obviously you're saying Norwich shouldn't be getting too much praise, but that Burnley game was the first game this season where Norwich looked like they got a little bit of bite in them, and if a team is going up against them, they can drop back and defend, they can defend well. Obviously we played back five, Gibson, Hanley, Kabak, Giannoulis was back in the squad, which I was very happy about, as I thought Williams hasn't really been up to standard so far. I thought Giannoulis played quite well, to be honest. I think for me, my man of the match was probably, I'm probably going to say this quite a lot this season, Matthias Norman was probably my man of the match in that game. I thought he was outstanding again. Obviously nearly went up and scored. Kabak had a good game, I thought. Even Grant Hanley played quite well. I thought Gibson struggled a little bit here and there. Max Aarons nearly scored early on with a strike from long range. It just whispered past the post. So when you look at the chances Norwich had, and it's like we went out and we probably dominated little parts of that game, but I think the parts that we were getting dominated, we defended really well. And we've got to do that more often this season, because there's going to be games this season where we are getting dominated more than we're dominating teams. We're not going to dominate games because it's just not going to happen. We haven't got the squad for that. But when you're defending, and you have to stay strong, and I think if Norwich can play like how they did against Burnley, they will grind out results this season. I think Brighton's going to be an interesting game, because obviously they've got a good attack. They've got Maupay up front, and it's going to be really interesting. There's Danny Welbeck as well, who's a man in form at the moment. It's going to be interesting to see how we sort of deal with a different kind of pressure. Obviously, Burnley was a game where it was a little bit slow and some of the play was a bit sloppy, and I think the passes need to come together. I'd like to see Rashica back in the starting lineup, although having him and Zolis on the bench is definitely something to get excited about, because when they come on, you get teams that are tired, and all of a sudden you've got these two quick, zippy wingers that come on. And I think they're going to cause problems this season. I think Chelsea is going to be a big game. Obviously, they're such a good team, aren't they, Chelsea? Obviously, Lukaku's such a dangerous player, and he's one that Norwich is certainly going to struggle against. But I think if Norwich can look after the international break, maybe to get just a few more points on the board, and you can look at the teams around us. You've got, I think it's Burnley, Leeds around us, Palace, and Newcastle around us at the moment as well, I think. And you've got 2 or 3 teams there that are still only on 4 points. Norwich get a win at Brighton, all of a sudden they're almost out of the relegation zone. As I said to you last week, it fits the media narrative. All of a sudden Norwich are the greatest team to come up from the Championship and do really well. But I guess we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting, but I guess we've probably talked about Norwich enough for now, and obviously David's going to want to move on to Lincoln, so I guess we better do that for now. David, how did Lincoln get on the weekend, mate?
We somehow drew 2-2 the weekend. I had the score up and I was watching it. We were just, I think after 30 minutes, we were 1-0 down. Teams around us like Ipswich, Fleetwood, then Crewe as well. We were all winning, I think.
Yeah.
And then something changed, and I think it was 1-1 to Lincoln, so I was really shocked. I was really happy it was.
Who scored for Lincoln?
It was Farini from centre mid. He's one of our loan players from Man City, and Scully got a 90th minute penalty, which I think what happened was the player got kicked. And it went down. It was a good penalty, but Lincoln was so like tactics. Like, we had 10 players pushing up a corner in the 20th minute, and as a manager, you don't think, why are you going for a 20 minutes? And then
you've got to have players sit back just in case you get caught on the counter.
Yeah, we had TJ Joma at the back, and he's not good. 1v1, he's not good by himself.
Yeah.
And every time we were pressing too high up, and we cut over. Another day it could be 7-8-2 Plymouth on another day. And if Plymouth had a few players back from injury, it would have really devastated. Like, we weren't consistent. We just got lucky. I don't understand how we were so bad. When we got the players, we've got Scully in there. We've got Farini. We've got McGrandles. We've got TJ and Joma. We've got Poole. We've got Griffiths. Players like this who are decent on the day. We can beat Cambridge 5-1. We can beat teams 3-0. We can comfortably. But some games we just look so out of depth. We just look like it's in an FA Cup game or a National League team. There's no consistency. And that's the problem with Appleton's tactics. When you saw Liverpool last season, I think it was the season before, you saw it was 11 players versus Liverpool, not Appleton's tactics. And Appleton's tactics is so easy to pick apart that it's devastating to see. Because Scully scored 10 goals in competition this season, and he's disappearing half the games. You've got Teddy Bishop, who's a centre mid, who's playing left wing most of all, a striker, and he hasn't got the fitness, he hasn't got the skill, and he doesn't do anything. And he doesn't change formation to a complex. We haven't got Tom up and down to Christmas now, we haven't. We haven't got Joe Walsh, one of our main centre backs. We're missing, I think, Bridcut now. We're missing players like this, and we're being really easily dominating games. So when I say we're sort of dominating games 59% possession, I know we're going to lose because we have a loss of the ball. We don't do anything with it though. We put the ball into the stand half the time, or the games are final and third, and we just lose the ball. And it's, as a fan, like I don't expect Lincoln to go up every time. I don't expect us to win games comfortably.
You expect them to have a go, don't you?
Yeah, I expect us to have.
You want to be competitive.
Yeah, I expect the game. You don't expect Norwich to go to a game. You win a game 3-0, then you go inconsistent. Then goal, inconsistent. Lincoln a lot of that. We score, inconsistent score. Scully, on his day, could easily hit 30 goals in the league, but sometimes You don't see it. Like, our midfield is way too deep. You have got no creativity. Last season we had Brendan and Grant, two attacking midfielders who pushed the team a bit higher. But now we've got a deeper midfield. Everyone's dropping deeper now, and we're not creating as much.
You just don't seem that effective going forward, do you really? And I think obviously Michael Appleton's a fan of loan deals, and obviously your success last season was mostly built on loan signings, wasn't it? And you did look good last season. You looked dangerous in areas, and I'm not too sure where that team's gone.
The problem also, we've literally, I think the funds are running out now. The stadium upgrade we can't afford, and I think Appleton's wages is so astronomical. Because there's no way, we've got a new American investors, we've got a lot of investors investing money into the club, but the money seems to not going towards the team, it isn't. And you see the transfer money, we've spent almost everything is free. And we came 5th in League One, we're supposed to be pushing on, and we're buying free stuff. And that's what, you don't see Pep Guardiola going,
No.
I don't want an expensive team, I don't want a consistent team, I want to buy some free players that are unproven and are not good enough for Sunderland, weren't. Not good enough for Ipswich, not good enough for any team. So why are we buying? We buy Bishop, who's not good enough. We've got Maguire, who's not good enough. Joe from Tottenham 23s. We've got Griffiths, who's unproven. We've got, I can name like 5-6 players who are just not good enough. We've sold players who are brilliant, like Grant, he was one of our own players, and we sold him, and the player we bought is Teddy Bishop to replace him. And that is replacing like De Bruyne, we've replaced John Joe Shelby. It's just a massive difference, and we've brought no one in to compete. We bought defensively that season we were a problem, and he's fixed it by buying one of the weak links. He hasn't got a new centre back. He's relying on Joe Walsh's fitness, and before the season started, he's done his hamstring. And he's down to probably Christmas now, and it's probably going to feature. It might feature against Sunderland, but the chance of him staying fit, it's just not. We have got no defenders at the moment who can put a run of games together. Like Monsman and Joe are both under 21, 22, I think they are. Griffiths is under 21. Paul's on the 21, and then Robertson and Bramwell both on 21. You've got no leader in the back line. There's no leader in the midfielder either. And it's the team's looking so disorganised. We saw it against Ipswich. Ejoma was clearly, no one shouting a man onto him. Nobody gave any support. When he's going to foot his back, Bramwell's a left back and he's playing left wing. He's not even in footage, isn't of the play. The ball is being played, and he's walking back in position, and we're defending. It's 3 versus 5, I think it is.
So do you think it's almost a case of some players just aren't there because they want to be there? Does that make sense? And it almost looks like Lincoln have, well, no, it doesn't almost, it is. They have taken a huge step backwards. Obviously, where he's sitting at the moment, roughly in 17th place, aren't you, at the minute? So, and I think you can get results. Obviously, you grind out a draw, so obviously you're not going to be too happy with that. But a draw is a draw, a point's a point. Like obviously in the Premier League, it's a little bit different from Norwich City, but we got a point, and I'm happy with that. A point and a clean sheet away from home for Norwich City is absolutely massive. And I think if Lincoln can just find that bit of bite, and just like Norwich did against Burnley, if they can find that bite and just try and grind out results, even if you're getting just points every so often, just grind out results, stay in League One, then you'll get a little bit of money, and then you can grow on from that. Obviously, you're going to say you want Appleton out, aren't you? You've been waiting. I'll tell you what, he's been waiting for this podcast for a long time, just to absolutely batter him completely. Obviously, you want Appleton out, and obviously his tactics of bringing in as many loans and free players as possible clearly isn't working. And I think I'm not too sure how to fix Lincoln at the moment. But as I said, you're still getting results here and there, and if you keep doing that, you will go up the table. Like, not teams in League One, not every team is going to get points every game. So if Lincoln can be one of them teams that grinds out a draw every so often, you will slowly start to move up the table.
And boys, when we look at Lincoln, when we first came into League One, we had such a great team, and we had Daniel Cowley for the first 3 games, and then it was Jamie McComb came in charge, because we had no assistant manager, he was like coach. Appleton came in, I think we were sitting 3rd at the time. He took us from 3rd to 15, one of the best teams in the league. The next season, we were sitting 1st comfortably. It's taken us 15th, or he's taken us 5th, and now 17th. And it was given a new contract, I think 7 games of the season last season. The problem was, the funds are running out now, and that is a real item now. If we go into League 2, I hate to say it, but we're not coming back. There's no way we can bridge the gap financially. Even though we can have so many shirts now, we don't go to our stadium to the size of the Etihad. It won't make a difference to because if we come to League Two, I hate to say it, I think we're going back into bankruptcy. I don't want to say that.
Do you think that'll be game over?
Yeah, because last time Lincoln were League One, they lost the championship. We went to bankruptcy, we lost everything, and the club lost everything. We got relegated completely out of the Football League, I think we did. And now we're going to build back with it, and we've come to that point again where we're going again, and the funds are running out. We can't afford a stadium, we can't afford players anymore. I think wages we're struggling out with now. I think we're going to be getting point deduction soon if we don't carry on paying players' wages. I think that's the problem was.
Well, then does there become a point where almost, I mean, no football club should really have to do this, but does there come a point where almost the fans try and take a stand, and you do fundraisers, you do maybe kids' charity football matches? Does that make sense? Things like that, like where the fans can get involved. Is there enough Lincoln fans to maybe try and get behind the squad? And obviously, no football club should have to ask of their fans for any money. I mean, season tickets, clubs, shirt sales. I mean, I think fans do enough for clubs, but is there going to come a point where clubs like fan pages on Facebook or whatever, they come together and they think, right, we've got to try and get our club out of this? But like I said before, if you get results like you did, was it Plymouth you played? It was Plymouth, was it? You get results against Plymouth and grind out results, you will get points. I've got a strong feeling Lincoln will start. I think there are a good 4 or 5 teams in the league this season that are worse than you, so don't get too downhearted about it. I think we've got a chance. I'm sure we'll have time to talk about this more in another episode, but obviously we're probably going to have to end the episode fairly soon. Is there anything more you want to add to the end of it?
We're crowdfunding the stadium. Lincoln put 500 million for the stadium account. Yeah. That is only half a dozen. And we're asking the fans to fund the stadium. If we're asking to pay for wages, ask them to sort out utilities costs as well. Ask to pay players' wages, almost 5, 6 things you could ask the fans to pay for. And if you're not getting results, the fans are going to say to you, why should we? Because you're not giving anything back. You could give them a load of money, but money's not going to fix Lincoln, isn't. Yeah. I think the only way to fix Lincoln is to get a proper owner. Because Clive knows he's brilliant. He's done so much with Lincoln, but he's only can take Lincoln so far because he hasn't got the funds. We've got he's a big investor. We've got a load of investment groups investing in Lincoln. And the thing is, once the money runs out and once the money does start running low, we're not going to get shirt sales work. We won't attract anything work, and that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. But obviously we'll have to talk about this more probably in another episode. I'm sure next time we're probably going to have a different background once again. Obviously this is the 3rd different background we've had. We had the goals last time, I thought that was good. Maybe we'll go back at the goals again. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode. It's been an interesting one, isn't it, David? Obviously 2 different ends of the English Football League. Norwich City got a point away at Burnley, and we got a point at Plymouth. So it's going to be interesting to see how both teams kick on from here, and I'm sure in the next episode we'll hopefully be able to talk about how we've both got ourselves a win.
Yeah,
hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. We want to thank you all very much for watching, and you've been watching
From the Bench.
Bye bye.